All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today, we're diving into the world of ZKsync. Now, if you've been anywhere near crypto lately, you know Ethereum's got those, those slow transaction times, right? And those fees. Oof, not fun. But there may be a solution out there. That's where ZKsync comes in. Basically, it's a layer 2 scaling solution aiming to make Ethereum, faster, more efficient, like adding a whole express lane to the blockchain highway. So we found this awesome article from Binance Academy, packed with info, but who's got time to read the whole thing? Not us. We did the heavy lifting, though, and we're going to break down all the tea stuff for you. You're welcome. Now, here's some of you are wondering, why bother? What's the big deal with this ZK-Sync thing anyway? Well, picture this. You're trying to use a dApp, right? One of those cool decentralized applications on Ethereum. But the network, it's like rush hour in the middle of Times Square. Everything's jammed up, slow, and those gas fees are hitting you hard. Not ideal, to say the least. That's the problem ZK-Sync is tackling head-on, trying to make Ethereum handle way more transactions, but without sacrificing security.
So how do they pull it off? ZKsync uses these things called zero-knowledge rollups, or ZK rollups for short. Sounds kind of sci-fi, right? But it's actually pretty clever. Imagine packing a suitcase perfectly. ZKsync bundles a ton of transactions together, off-chain, and then submits just one tiny proof to the main Ethereum network. Like, boom. So much less work for Ethereum, making things zoom and saving you those precious fees. But hold on, there's more. The zero-knowledge part is where it gets really interesting. ZKsync uses these cryptographic proofs. They can verify transactions without showing all the details, kind of like proving, a secret password, but never actually saying it out loud.
Sneaky, right?
Not only does this keep things private, but it also ramps up the security. All right, let's talk about the ZK token and that airdrop that caused, a bit of a stir in the crypto world, shall we? For the newbies, an airdrop is basically a project giving away free tokens, usually to reward early users or just to, get the word out. ZKsync decided to airdrop a whopping 17.5% of their total token supply. And they tried to do it in a way that was, super fair and transparent. They set up this system that rewarded both people who used the platform A and D, the people who actually built it. Smart move, if you ask me. For users, they looked at all sorts of things, like how much did you use the platform? Did you bridge any assets? What kind of NFTs did you hold? They even had this fancy formula called the value scaling formula, which basically measured how much you were really engaged. The more you use ZKsync, the more tokens you could snag. They even had bonus multipliers for certain actions. Let's say you held some specific ZKsync NFTs or maybe a bunch of other airdrop tokens like ARB or OP. Boom, your allocation goes up. Pretty cool, huh? But it wasn't just about the users, right? They also recognized all the hard work put in by the contributors, the developers, researchers, those community members, keeping the ecosystem alive. They set aside a chunk of the airdrop for those folks, basically saying thanks for their contributions to ZKsync's tech and its growing popularity. It included people building cool projects directly on ZKsync, as well as folks who are active in on-chain communities, or even those who donated to Gitcoin grants, supporting the project from the ground up. It was a great way to acknowledge all the different ways people contribute to a project like this, real community vibes. Now, even with the best intentions, there's always going to be some bumps in the road. And the airdrop, it had its fair share of controversy. Some people were worried about these things called Sybil attacks. Basically, it's where people try to cheat the system by creating a bunch of fake accounts to get more tokens than they should. ZKsync did try to stop this. They put some measures in place. But some folks thought it wasn't enough, while others said it was too strict and actually penalized legit users. It's tough, right? Finding that sweet spot between rewarding real participation and keeping the bad guys out. The whole ZKsync airdrop really got people talking. It sparked debates about fairness, transparency, and the best way to distribute tokens in a truly decentralized system. And that brings up some interesting questions about the future of airdrops and how communities can actually own a piece of these crypto projects. Something to think about, right? But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's switch gears for a sec. We got to compare ZKsync to another big player in the Layer 2 world, optimistic rollups. Both are aiming to fix Ethereum scaling headaches, but they go about it in totally different ways. ZKsync, as we've talked about, uses those zero-knowledge proofs to verify transactions super fast, like instantly. This makes it really secure and transactions settle quickly because there's no waiting around for someone to challenge them. Optimistic rollups, on the other hand, well, they're kind of optimistic, as the name suggests. They just assume everything's cool and valid until someone proves otherwise. This means transactions can go through fast, but there's this whole challenge period where anyone can say, hey, wait a minute, that transaction looks fishy. If nobody cries foul during that time, then the transaction's good to go. So it really relies on the community to keep an eye out and catch any bad stuff.
So which one's the winner? That's tricky. It really boils down to what's most important to you. ZKsync is like Fort Knox, super secure and fast. Optimistic rollups, well, they might be a little more prone to human error, but they're easier to set up and can handle a wider range of transactions.
Plus, they've already been put to the test on platforms like Arbitrum and Optimism, which are pretty popular in the DeFi scene. At the end of the day, both ZKsync and optimistic rollups are doing great things for Ethereum and the whole blockchain ecosystem. They're pushing the limits of what's possible and paving the way for a future where literally billions of people can use blockchain tech. Pretty amazing, right? Now, before we wrap this part up, let's circle back to those ZK proofs for a sec. They're really what makes ZKsync so special. Imagine being able to prove something is true without actually revealing any of the secret info. It's like magic, almost. Think about all the personal stuff we share online. Bank details, medical records, browsing history. It's kind of scary, right? What if there was a way to prove things about that data without actually giving it away? Like proving you're old enough without showing your ID. That's the power of ZK proofs. It could totally change how we think about privacy and security online. And not just for crypto, but for everything. ZKsync is one of the first to use this tech in a real-world application. It's a glimpse into a future where our data is actually ours again.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about ZKsync, but let's dig a little deeper into the benefits, shall we? We've talked about scalability, how it plays nice with existing Ethereum stuff, but there's one more thing I gotta highlight. Security. ZKsync, with those fancy zero-knowledge proofs, it's like a security fortress for your transactions. Since everything's verified instantly, no waiting around for humans to mess things up, the chances of errors or someone trying to pull a fast one, it's way lower. And that's super important, especially when we're talking about money, right? You want to know your funds are safe, your info's private. ZKsync's got that covered, which makes it a pretty sweet deal for everyone, users and developers alike. But, it's not just about the tech. It's about the people behind it, too. Like any cool project in crypto, ZKsync's got this amazing community, passionate folks, developers, researchers, those spreading the word, all those users making it happen. It's a vibrant community, always pushing the boundaries. They're organizing hackathons, building crazy dApps, telling the world about the power of ZK tech.
It's all about collaboration, open source, this shared dream of a future that's more decentralized and fair. ZKsync's community, they really embody that spirit. But let's be real, ZK tech is still pretty new, right? There are some hurdles to jump, scalability to figure out, and that constant need to keep things secure and user-friendly. Plus, governments are still figuring out this whole crypto thing. That uncertainty can make things tricky for a project like ZKsync. But hey, challenges also mean opportunities, right? It's a chance for the community to step up, innovate, work together, and make ZKsync even stronger. It's a reminder that this whole crypto world is always changing. Those who adapt, those who overcome, those are the ones that'll thrive. Now, let's zoom in on the ZK token and what it means for governance. Holding those ZK tokens, it's like having a voice, a say in how ZKsync evolves. You can vote on proposals, even delegate your voting power to someone else if you want. Kind of like being a shareholder, but for a decentralized platform. This shift towards community governance, it's a core principle in crypto, putting the power in the hands of the users.
ZKsync gets that, and it'll be really interesting to see how their governance model changes over time. Speaking of the ZK token, remember that airdrop, the one that stirred things up? ZKsync went all out, distributing 17.5% of their tokens, trying to reward those who were actively involved. But it wasn't just a free-for-all. They had a system rewarding both users and e-builders. For users, they looked at how often you use the platform, how much crypto you bridged over, even your interactions with smart contracts. The more you did, the more you got. Simple as that. But they also wanted to encourage future contributions. Smart move. So they allocated tokens to developers building cool dApps, to researchers pushing the boundaries of ZK tech, even to those spreading the ZKsync gospel, getting the word out. It was all about attracting talent and building a thriving ecosystem. Of course, nothing's perfect, right? And the ZKsync airdrop, it had its critics. Some folks thought early adopters or the super active users should have gotten a bigger slice of the pie. Others pointed out the whole Sybil attack problem, where people try to game the system.
It's a constant struggle in crypto to keep things fair and prevent those bad actors from ruining the party. But hey, despite the challenges, the ZKsync airdrop was a big deal. It was a bold move, putting community ownership front and center, and it sparked some much-needed conversation about fairness, token distribution, and the role of governance in decentralized systems. Those conversations, they're going to shape the future of crypto, that's for sure. Now let's dive even deeper into those ZK proofs. The real magic behind ZKsync. This cryptographic wizardry, it lets you prove something is true without spilling the beans, without revealing the actual information. It's like saying, hey, I've got the key to this treasure chest, but you don't show the key, and nobody knows what's inside. They just know you can open it.
With ZK proofs, you don't have to share all the nitty-gritty details, which keeps things private and secure. Like sending a secret message only the right person can read. Perfect for those sensitive transactions. And speaking of sensitive transactions, let's talk about those Sybil attacks. It's a constant battle in crypto, those trying to exploit the system for their own gain.
With the ZKsync airdrop, some tried to pull a sneaky one by creating tons of fake accounts, trying to grab more tokens than they were entitled to. ZKsync put up some defenses, tried to combat this, but they got flack from both sides. Some said they weren't tough enough, others said they were too harsh, punishing legit users who accidentally triggered their fraud alarms. Finding that balance, rewarding the good guys and keeping the bad guys at bay, it's tough. It's a constant challenge in this space. So you might be thinking, all right, this ZKsync thing sounds cool, but why should I care? Let me paint you a picture, show you why this could be huge E. First off, it makes Ethereum faster and cheaper to use. That means quicker transactions, lower fees, everybody wins. Plus, it opens up a whole new world for dApps. With ZKsync, we can have more complex, feature-rich apps, the kind that Ethereum struggled with before. Imagine a world where you can trade digital assets seamlessly, join those decentralized finance parties, use all sorts of innovative dApps, all without worrying about slow speeds or crazy fees. That's the promise of ZKsync and other Layer 2 solutions. They're building the foundation for a future where blockchain is truly accessible to everyone. Now let's be real. ZKsync's not the only player in this game. There are other solutions out there, each with its pros and cons. One of the big ones is optimistic rollups. Remember those? Optimistic rollups, they're kind of like that friend who always sees the best in everyone. They assume all transactions are good until someone proves otherwise. This makes things fast, but there's that challenge period where anyone can raise a red flag. If nobody does, the transaction goes through. But it means the community has to be vigilant, always on the lookout for any funny business. So how does this stack up against ZKsync? Well, ZKsync uses those ZK proofs to verify transactions instantly. No need to wait around. Faster finality, higher security. Optimistic rollups, though, they're generally easier to set up and can handle a wider variety of transactions. Plus, they've been through the ringer, tested on platforms like Arbitrum and Optimism, which are pretty popular in the DeFi world. It's like comparing a fancy sports car to a reliable SUV. Both get you where you need to go, but they do it differently.
In the end, both ZKsync and optimistic rollups are doing amazing things for Ethereum and the whole blockchain space. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, making blockchain tech something everyone can use. Pretty incredible, right?
Okay, so we've dug into the tech behind ZKsync, compared it to the competition, even talked about like the philosophical side of those zero-knowledge proofs, But let's bring it back down to earth for a sec. Imagine you're trying to snag that concert ticket online, right? But the network is a mess. Fees are going through the roof. With ZKsync, that's a problem of the past. It's like you've got that VIP pass, skipping all the lines, getting your ticket quick and easy without breaking the bank. And that EVM compatibility, game changer. Developers can just like pick up their Ethereum apps and move them right over to ZKsync, no problem. Opens up a whole world of possibilities. Think crazy DeFi protocols, those immersive blockchain games, even secure digital ID systems. It all becomes more real, more doable with ZKsync's power-ups, scalability, and security. But, let's be honest, Ethereum, it's had its struggles keeping up with, well, its own success.
More users, more dApps, it all adds up, and the network gets bogged down. Slow transactions, those pesky fees, not a good look. ZKsync and those other Layer 2 solutions, they're like the superheroes trying to save the day. Think of it as building a high-speed rail line right on top of that old, crowded highway. ZKsync takes those transactions off-chain, freeing up space on the main Ethereum network, so things speed up, costs go down, and certainly blockchain's looking a lot more attractive to, well, everyone. But is ZKsync the TS solution, the one to lead Ethereum into a golden age of like ultimate scalability? Or will some other contender come out of nowhere and steal the crown? It's a bit of a crypto showdown, and it's still early days. But at ZKsync, they've got a lot going for them. Solid tech, passionate community, a clear vision of what they want to achieve. Definitely a project to keep your eye on. Could be a major player in shaping the future of blockchain, that's for sure. So there you have it, folks. Your deep dive into ZKsync complete. We've covered a ton, the nitty-gritty tech stuff, what it means for the whole crypto world, the works.
Hopefully you're walking away with a better understanding of what ZKsync is, how it works, and why it matters. But this is just the beginning, right? The blockchain world, it's always changing, always something new to learn. So keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep. Who knows, maybe you'll be the one building the next killer dApp app or discovering the next big thing in crypto.